Hello, I'm Kelsey and I'll be doing a tutorial on some scales work, and then we're going to go through a piece together. And this will be in the adults book today, in our Alfred Adults course book. So, firstly with our scales, we're going to start with our C scale. So we've done the right hand before. I'm going to do a bit of a refresh on that for you to practice at home. And then we're going to go through the left hand, just to introduce that as well. So, starting with our right hand, we've got our thumb on our C, okay? And we're going to go up with our fingering being 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, then 1 goes underneath to your F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then we're going to go all the way back down. And we're going to go backwards, basically. So we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our 3 crosses over. 3, 2, 1. And that's the C scale. And now we're going to try with our left hand. This is a little bit newer. So remember, in piano, thumb is always 1. Okay? So if thumb's always 1, then we go up consecutively, which means pinky is always going to be 5. So we're going to start with our 5th finger on our C this time, going up first. So pinky on C, and it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our 3 crosses over. 3, 2, 1. And then back down we go. 1, 2, 3. Our thumb goes underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. We're going to do that one more time so it's a little bit new. So left hand, pinky first. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then 3 crosses over. 3, 2, 1. And then back down. 1, 2, 3. Then thumb goes underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do it. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 crosses over. 3, 2, 1. Back down we go. 1, 2, 3. 1 goes underneath to your G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wonderful. I know it can be a bit tricky at first, so just make sure to take your time with it. Sometimes it can help to write in the fingers on a piece of paper as well. Then you can physically see what finger you're up to next. And sometimes the note's underneath too. But anyway, give that a go this week and see how you feel about it. And now we're going to go on to our book. So today I'm on page 14 and we're going to do Tisket a Tusket. So we've got a set of rhymes that we use for reading when we're starting off. And those rhymes help us see, where our notes actually sit on the music and then where we associate it on the piano. So for our bass clef or our left hand notes, so our bass clef is our little loop in the bottom there. We've got our space notes, so all notes that are literally in between the lines. From the bottom, you've got all, then the second space is cows, the third, eat, and then G, grass, for your 4th, okay? And we use that to figure out all the notes within the spaces of the stave. And then we have our line notes, and that helps us with the notes that are literally on the lines of each stave. So our first line in the bottom there is our good, and then we have birds don't fly away, okay? And we use those rhymes throughout just to figure out where our notes sit, really. And it can be a bit painful at first when we're reading because you have to kind of think every single rhyme just to get to that one note that you're after. And it can be a bit time consuming. So that's when we figure out other strategies on top of our rhymes to help us learn where the notes are and how they work. So now that you have an understanding of those rhymes, so all cows eat grass for your space notes, and your good birds don't fly away for your line notes, we can then start to look at the patterns of the notes. So where can you see steps? A step is, for example, from your C to your D, going to the next note up, okay? Or where your skips are, and it's exactly as it sounds. So having from your C, we're going to skip your D and go to an E, and that's your skip. So being able to find those within your music and see those patterns clearly. So in this case, the very first note of Tisket a Tusket is a G, okay? And we can figure that out first by using our rhymes. So we know the G is a space note. So you go, all cows eat grass. And that's how you know that's a G. Now the next note after a G is the next space downwards, okay? And that's how I can tell, on how you'll be able to tell, that is actually a skip instead of a step down, okay? So from a space note to another space note that's really close together, that's going to be a skipping pattern, okay? But from a space note to a line note, which is the next set, that's going to be a stepping pattern, okay? So from your G skipping down to your, not your F, because that would be a step, it would be your E, which is that space note below. That would be how that works, okay? So, yeah, and you would kind of go through each bar or each line and see what other patterns you can find to make it easier for you to read. And that way you're not sitting there between every note going, good birds don't fly away, or all cows eat grass, because they can be quite long and monotonous. So we find these patterns to make it easier to read and to locate notes, okay? Yeah, so now that we've looked at that, we can look at where our repeats might be, because that can be a bit easier to figure out as well. So I can tell the first two bars, well, they're repeated, okay? So you go G, and then G, then you skip down and step back up, and then you do it again. G, then you're skipping down and stepping back up again. And the next part is when we can see a change, okay? So we can see that this G is being repeated. So you play two Gs. And then we can see it's going from one space note to the next space note down. And that's how we know we're skipping a note and we're not stepping. So we skip our F and go to our E again. And then we're stepping up to return to our G. And skipping down again. Okay, now from that E, that third space, to the next line, it's only a step up to our F. 2 on F. And then you can see we've got to skip down again, and then back up to our F. So those two lines are repeated as well. And then the next note is our G, and we can tell that because we've played it so many times, and it's where our thumb sits. So then we can see that it's all a stepping pattern going all the way down to our C. So I hope that helps figure out how to read your notes and how to locate your patterns and your skips and your steps. Yeah, so I hope that's helped out a little bit. Keep practicing, see how you go with that C scale and Tisket to Tusket, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.